Wow.
It's the Cult Love Removal Machine, 100.3, the X-Rocks Morning After with Nick and Big J. Hanging out with Jason Newsted in studio, who is in town tonight at the Record Exchange, 7 o'clock for a fan experience Q&A. You can also get some stuff signed there tonight. We recommend that you pick up his new album. It's called Heavy Metal Music. They have it on vinyl and they have it on CD there at the Record Exchange. We were just talking off air about all this stuff that goes into, who knew, that goes into like pressing a vinyl record and making it sound the way it needs to sound. But it's that attention to detail that you had when you actually put this record together and you started making it that makes it so important to you, I imagine. And we had a chance to talk to you on the phone when you were getting ready to release this.
Right. Yeah.
And it was a big deal for you, man. I mean, you put everything you could into this record, right?
Yes, very much. If we were going to do it, we had to do it all the way, keep it as pure as possible, leave the warts and the mistakes and all that, don't auto-tune or any of that kind of thing, keep it real honest. That was the first thing. Then make it sound as good as it possibly can. I mean, that's everybody's quest, obviously, but still, in today's age, a lot of people kind of gloss over things with digitization and compressing things and smashing everything together and maxing it out, so you can't really hear the nuances and the things that happen when you play music. Point, counterpoint playing, human exchange and all that, what it's all about, man. So when you get on, take the time to follow through what we do in the studio, like Grover was explaining there with the pressing and all that kind of thing, it makes a big, big difference in the final product. So when we finally got to listen to the vinyl ourselves as the band, really impressed. And that doesn't happen every time, I promise you. Sometimes that stuff comes back and you're like, no, my God, let's go back to the demo. They call it demo-itis, but sometimes it's true. Sometimes it works.
I think when we talked to you, the Metal EP had come out, but I don't think that Mike was a part of the project yet.
Right.
So, what did that bring to the band and to you, having him a part of the process? Because I know I've always been a fan of his guitar work, and I couldn't imagine him, being a metal guitarist. But man, I'm going to tell you what, seeing him play live too is that's where he belongs.
That's right. That's true. He's finally getting to express himself fully with what he has been gifted with and worked so hard to hone the last 30 years. He spent hour after. I mean, he plays guitar more than anybody that I know, and I know some pretty bad MRFers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like hanging with Devin Townsend, Andreas Kisser. He plays more than them, and that's a lot.
Wow.
He's still on the bus all the time during the tour, just hours and hours and hours and hours still playing, and it shows when he's on the stage. Not just the maniac performer, but also the aficionado, the virtuoso. I put him up against anybody. Zach, Kirk, anybody, no problem. But Michael, he came in February. He auditioned the third week of February this year. And, I mean, to me, after 5 minutes in together, he was in our band. I just knew he was the dude. As a person, focused, hardworking, disciplined, determined, all those things. But he came in knowing 9 songs after I asked him to know 4, and he had them memorized. I was still using my cheat sheets, and I wrote the songs. and he came in just blowing it out on guitar. I was playing bass, so that's considerably different too. But and then when the record came, he recorded his stuff. We made the record in 3 weeks' time, from start to finish, pretty much. As far as the recording process, that's pretty quick. And for him to have to adapt to those songs and kind of compose on the fly and end up with the solos and the awesome accompaniment that you hear on the record now, that speaks for itself. The most important thing for me with Mike Mushak joining our band is that he's been in the business neck deep more recently than I have. I haven't been in since 2003 with Ozzy, so I've had quite a break from it. A lot has changed since that time. He's been out with Stain more recently, in the thick of it, making good money, doing his thing. He knows a lot more about what makes it go round these days, and has helped me considerably with the management and general understanding and perception aspect of this business. And I have taken him on as a partner more and more, trying to get him to take on more and more of the load with me to share decision making and stuff like that. So that's the most important part of Mike Mushak in our band now. He is one of my favorite guitar players ever at this point.
Nice.
That segues nicely into another topic, and that is, once you get the album done and you work hard to put it out, That's half the battle, man. Then you got to
Oh,
get
yeah.
into the business side of things,
Yep.
and you got to make some decisions, as you were talking about artwork, and that's just the
Mm-hmm.
tip of it. So, I mean, that side of things, it's much more creative control on your end than it ever has been, right?
Yes.
And I mean, what was that like for you to be able to kind of make this your baby from the word go?
I haven't had this kind of control really since Flotsam, and this is even more so now because of the work that I've done since that time to get the reputation and or the respect. So being able to, all the experiences I've had the privilege of having, jamming with all the different people. I don't not name drop, just kind of factual stuff. You know, Government Mule guys and Sepultura and all the other stuff. And discography is pretty cool. Those things finally culminated. I don't know if it's just an obvious statement or what, but I was finally ready for it, and it was finally ready for me. Like I said before, I didn't really expect to do this. I was retired. But it came from the sky, it fell from the sky, these songs, and I had my guitar in my hand, and it happened. So that's why it's so honest the way it is now. But that is truly, I just started tapping my songwriting well for real, because all these songs I wrote top to bottom on all the instruments. I never did that before in my life. I wrote Flotsam songs and played on bass, and the guys on the guitar would copy it, and you know, like
Right.
I write a bass line for Voivod, write a bass line for Metallica, these kind of things, but never the whole thing my own with my name, my words, my voice. It's the first time, but I wouldn't have been ready last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, now only. So the business part of it, I feel I have a pretty good handle on, and I really like the people part. I think we talked about that earlier. Not
Yeah.
just the fan part, but I mean the people part. Ask 10 out of 12 of my peers if they like coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
hanging on the radio and stuff. I do. I dig doing interviews. I like the attention, I guess is what it is, you know, just like ego-wise or whatever the heck it is. But that's what it is. I like the attention. I like talking to people. I like learning from people. You guys, when you ask me something, it always some kind of insight that you have, because you get to talk to a lot of people, listen to a lot of music, experience a lot of stuff from the other a different side than I do. You have different insight to be able to trigger something in me that I wouldn't think about before. That's why I like those interviews. And always meeting the people is what it's all about. We said that before too, man. That's really what it comes down to. It's still about human exchange. The rock and roll live guitar from the stage to the people screaming back, or us right now talking the metal. It's still about that. It's still human. You know, they can bring all the technology they want, but the metal's still human. The rock is still human.
You know, you had touched about how strong you feel the fan base is for metal music across the world, across the country. You've been on a lot of things. How do you feel the music side of things are? I mean, from the production standpoint, not just you, but as a genre in general, how do you think we're going as far as rock and metal goes?
I'm sometimes scared about the cheating factor. You know, the people that can't really play in front of you right now. You know, our band could walk right in here and play everything on that record right in front of you right now. No cheating, no extra thing other than a wah-wah pedal or something. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't happen a lot. But the more it does, like the bands that are keeping the purity of the sword, Gojira, Red Fang, these kind of bands that are flying it true. You know, I mean, that's who I'm behind. So that gives me hope in a big way. That's I call them the Spawn. You know, they are the Spawn, and so and they're good people too. I've met all those cats so far, and it's a good thing. It truly gives me hope. There's always going to be the fodder, you know, but the cream rises to the top, and that's the bands we're speaking of right there. So there's always going to be that hope kept by the people that have the right teachers and influences. Then there's always going to be that side thing of people blown in the wind too, you know.
Makes sense, man.
Is it hard, you know, there maybe for a lot of bands that they get into this and they have skills and they are good musicians and they write some good music, but they get into it, they sell some albums, and then they get all the bells and whistles. And I think you've probably experienced all the bells and whistles before. You know, how can that dramatically change a musician?
Yeah, I think any person, you know, you're only a human being, flesh and gray matter and all that. And once money starts coming into play and attention and all the other things, the trappings that you call them bells and whistles or whatever, that come along with that, you know, you have to you either adapt to it and figure it out and fold it into the balance, or you get, you know, screwed up by it and go out of balance. And we see lots of people, well, most people do get out of balance for a little bit as you adjust to it. There's no way you can't. And I'm a kid from Michigan raised on a farm, and I don't want to be a prick or whatever, but since I was 23, you know, I've been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and I'm 50 now, and so, but it was from metal. You know, the bass been very, very good to me. That kind of
It makes sense, man.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit more with Jason about, the last year. It's been a very busy year for him, what he's been up to, and the future for the band as well. Don't forget, tonight, 7 o'clock, the Record Exchange. You are not going to want to miss hanging out with Jason. Q&A, he'll be willing to answer some questions, sign some stuff tonight. So if you always wanted to talk to the man, and obviously easy person to talk to, as you can tell. So go on out to the Record Exchange tonight. I would say get there a little bit early. The lines usually start forming there, but it never hurts, man. And you are going to meet a very good guy, and you're going to listen to some very awesome music if you head out to the Record Exchange tonight, 7 o'clock, 11th and Idaho. We'll be back with some more Newsted next year on the X Rocks.
Thanks, guys.